Hello lovely people and welcome to my third chapter of my digital painting tutorial series. Topic is still vegetation and we covered in the last two videos grass and common plants. So today let's talk about bushes. Or let's talk about shrubs. Honestly, when I started doing my studies regarding bushes and shrubs, I didn't expect that it will challenge me that much. Because for me, bushes were always something like, with not such a difficult shape. Made out of plant material, made out of leaves, and all of these things are not something that I didn't cover before, right? So I thought like this one will be a quite easy one. But the main problem with shrubs, in my experience, was that it was quite difficult to nail the point of detail how I like it in a stylized way. So there was a long way of figuring out how much detail of leaves, for example, or plant material I would like to show I would like to render in the shrubs. And yeah, in the end it turned out very much stylized. But that was the way I wanted to go. I tried different styles and you will see it yourself. So, you know how I like to start. I like to start with a very rough ground sketch. So just throwing simple forms here on the canvas and don't think about detail too much, just all over shape, how the element you want to paint is based in your composition. So what I do now is blocking in the colors. I try to create variation of colors here already, and that is quite important to create different layers so that we can easily adjust the different layers in color, in tone, and whatever later. And you see that this one bush here is growing in front of another bush, and here I will block in another color on another layer which will grow in between those two bush layers. So how I decide which color I'm going to choose here? Actually, what is more in the background should be more dark. That is not always the case, but that is, I think, quite common to use this technique, right? What is more in the background will be more dark, what is more in the foreground will be more bright. Also, how I like to do it is to give the background a little bit more of bluish or of colder colors in. And the foreground, in this case it's green, I try to give it a little bit more color in direction of yellow, for example. So I also wanted to check how it looks like if it's not just green shapes on the ground. Maybe there is a branch growing from the shrub and having another shrub on it. So it's just an experiment just to make the whole thing, the whole element a little bit more interesting. Then of course having here and there little spots of, you can say moss, whatever. That is actually a very interesting point as well. I was thinking a lot about what bushes really are. I mean, there are so many different variations of bushes, right? Actually, you can say everything what is not as tall as a tree and doesn't have that much branches, visible branches, can be considered a bush, right? But that would mean that also trees could be bushes, or that huge bushes could be trees. And that was a little bit confusing for me, because I didn't know really where to put the border here. What I do now is adding some light and shade. Just very roughly for now. We talked about the different layers. We talked about how easy it is to adjust them later when they are on different layers, the different elements, and that is exactly what I do here. I create a clipping mask and go with a soft round brush with low opacity over the different layers, and yeah, just add some colder shade on the right side. Here the blue is quite heavy, so I think I need to turn the intensity a little bit more down. But you can see already the hierarchy I created here, where it's a little bit more light. Here, even more stronger now. Just adding on the left side of the shapes some brighter greens in direction to yellow. You really can see that now. And for now it looks like the two big bushes in the middle, in the front, are too important. Like there's a spotlight on them, and the dark bushes in the background, they don't get any light at all. And that is not something I want. So I think I need to adjust the colors a little bit more later on. But for now, so that it doesn't look like just green rocks, I want to give it a little texture. And I figured out that it looks nice, in a stylized way at least, to add here and there some cuts. Like in real life you have holes in bushes, right? Or let's say you have gaps in shrubs where you can see through, or where you can have a look into the inside of the bush. And it's normally darker because there's not going to be that much light. And I try to render this in a stylized way here. Let's see, maybe here another one. It's important that one cut is not too much connected to another cut of another bush. Nothing should really, if you are not going for it, then nothing should gradiently merge into another. I also like it to have this sharp edge here between light and shade, like in the upper little bush, which is for now still floating in the air, but we will add a pair of branches later. Yeah, I think we don't need this under painting this rough sketch anymore. From now we can just work with what colors, what shapes we have created. So now, to make it a little bit more bush-like, a little bit more plant-like, we add some leaves here and there. Not too much, that is important. It should still look smooth and not too detailed. Just like that. Okay, so you realize that I leave gaps in between the different leaves all the time, right? It should be balanced, but it should not be too balanced, and I'm worried right now that maybe the gaps are too equal to each other, so that, how to say, if you create too much equality in your painting regarding anything, regarding composition, regarding color, if it's too much balanced out, then the attraction is gone. Then it seems like a pattern. And that is actually not what you want. You want to have a great balance, balance again, between balance and unbalance. Is unbalance a word? I know that something can be unbalanced, but I'm not sure if there is the unbalance. Anyways, you know what I'm going to talk about. You should always try to keep a balance between balance and unbalance, so that you have all over a kind of smooth pattern-like structure, and there where you really want to create a focal point, you break this pattern. And it's not always easy to find the sweet spot of where you can generate this point of interest. And that is exactly the reason why so many professional artists do thumbnails before their work. Or at least do sketches, think about different thematics, different colors, and how to render things, exactly because of this reason, that you don't want to put so much time into your painting and in the end realize like, yeah, if I would have thought a little bit more about this point or this point, then I might would have been able to render it even better, right? Okay, back to our painting. I think that looks quite nice already. Much to do, but I think from here it's going in a good direction. But you see already that the bushes in the background, they were too dark before. Now they're fitting a little bit more into the whole painting. That is what I wanted to. That is exactly what I wanted to reach here. What is also a very, very effective way of smoothing things out is the smudge tool, smudge finger tool. So just grab the smudge finger, higher the strength of it to maybe around 80%. I don't know, is it percentage or what? And then try things out in your painting. Smudge here and there, maybe the borders a little bit, the edges, the inside a little bit. If you have different colors, then smudge from a brighter color into a dark color to create texture of the object. And yeah, one good advice would be to create a copy of your current layer, because you might not be happy with what happened after using the smudge tool. It's always a try and error. So create a safe copy of your layer, go for it, do everything what you want to do, and then you can go back to the state before without losing anything. That is something you should keep in mind all the time, actually. Okay, let's add our branches here. I want to have a branch which splits into two branches, and that should be shown as well. And it's a little bit difficult here to achieve this because the bushes are too much close to each other, but I think like this it should work. So creating with the lasso tool a shape, then blocking in a color. I would not go for the typical brown here. I experienced that trees, stems and branches are often colored in a very desaturated and darkish violet. Okay, so I think we need to brighten our brushes a little bit more up. So I created a clipping mask here, put it on multiply, and yeah, just go with a very bright greenish yellowish color over the highlighted areas. Yeah, huge difference, like it. So, and what we see right now is that we have different shapes with leaves on the edge, and that doesn't really create the illusion of the three dimension of the third dimension. No, it doesn't really show you that it's an object can be affected by light and shade. So what I want is that the leaves are not only at the edge, they should also be displayed in the object itself. So I choose the lasso tool here and create different sizes of leaf shapes, and then go with a round soft brush slightly with a brighter color over them. We have the selection, we cannot paint out of the selection. That is a very nice thing. And take care that you are not coloring the whole selection. Try to stroke with a brush there, maybe in the direction of the tip of the leaves. so that it doesn't look like, oh, they're just some shapes on top of another shape. It looks more like, okay, these shapes, these leaves grew actually out of the bush. And that is exactly what leaves are doing, right? They grow out of stuff. And still, the leaves on the edge still look like just a shape. And what I try now is to add a little shade here and there, maybe to show that these leaves are overlapping each other. So you see here the leaf in the down is already overlapping the leaf behind it a little bit. And everywhere where I see it could be possible to achieve that, I give it a try now. It's maybe just a minor detail, but let's see where it brings us. Honestly, if you try something like that, if you try to paint your own bushes, your own grass, whatever, even things I didn't cover in the tutorial, if you paint anything, I'm always at the point that I start something, I paint something for minutes, for half an hour, then zoom out and I think like, oh boy, how should I manage to render this in a nice way? Every single time I have the same thoughts. And I just try to believe that I can tackle it. Because experience shows that if I give it 1 hour more of my time, that it might, normally it turns out quite well, I must say. So that is really something you can practice, I think, that you believe in what you can do, and that every time you try something, every hour you invest in painting, you get better. You fail, and you will fail again and again, but in the end, after every fail, you understood something. Something clicked in your brain, and the next time you will act different in the same situation. So what I do now is, I try something out. I have no idea if it is going to work. So I create random shapes with a lasso tool, like very thin lines curving a little bit around here and there, and fill them up with brighter greenish color. Not totally filling them in, I use my soft round brush again and go here and there in just to have them there quite subtle. But I don't really like it yet, they are too sharp, so I grab my smudge tool again and smudge the shapes in direction how they curve. It wouldn't make sense to create a curved line and then smudge it totally 90 degrees in the other direction. That would look weird, it would look wrong. So go here with the flow, go with the direction and see how it looks like. And it looks better already, but still the lines I just created, the texture lines, are not really fitting how I hope they would do. So I will just remove them a little bit. You can use the eraser, of course, but if you watched my other videos, you know that I like to use my soft round brush and just switch the painting mode into delete. And now I can delete everything I can paint with a brush and delete like an eraser, so that is very useful. And like that, I find it okay. For now. Maybe I will change something about it later. Let's see. A little bit smudge here, a little bit smudge there. Smudge, smudge, smudge. You never can smudge enough. Yeah, be careful with smudging. Because you don't want to have everything soft, right? There should be sharp edges as well. So yeah, try to figure out different ways, and if you realize you smudged too much, then hopefully you created your copy, your safe copy of the layer, and you can go back again to give it another try. But the smudge finger, I must say, it's an amazing tool, and I discovered it quite late actually, not such a long time ago. Okay, I feel like it's time to boost this painting up a little bit and to add this three-dimensionality. It's always nice to have a rim light from the other side, so from the side where the object is laying in shade. So for now I chose a violet, a pinkish color, going with a soft round brush here on the right side and just checking what looks good. Normally it doesn't look too good if you have just a very strong thin line as a rim light. It's better if you really give the feeling that the object is hit by light. So what I mean is that you cover a little bit more than just the outline with the color. For example, you see in the upper brush that the pinkish violet color is not only at the border, at the edge, it's expanding a little bit into the brush itself. And this rim light is an amazing technique to separate things from each other. And you need to be careful here as well. Every time you need to be careful about anything. That is the most depressing and the truest point actually of painting, or maybe every craft. But you can do too much of everything. You can do too less of everything. It needs to be exactly the right amount for what you want to do. And that is not easy to achieve. That needs time, that needs practice, right? But I hope I can help you a little bit on your way to achieve those goals a little bit more quick. So I feel like there's a little bit too much of rim light on the upper brush and too less on the other parts of the painting. So I will add here and there a little bit more of the pinkish rim light. But you can easily see that on the upper brush this rim light is too strong. It really is the focal point now, and I'm not sure if I want this part to be the focal point. I'm actually not sure at all which part should be the focal point here. I tell you something about focal points and how important it is to figure it out early enough, and I'm not even sure in my painting here what is the focal point. But I think I want the whole thing to be the focal point, because we want to learn how to paint stylized brushes. And that's why the whole brush should be important, right? I hope you understand what I want to say. But this rim light looks better already, but not perfect yet. I just realized I didn't use the word shrub since a long time. I just figured it. I just learned this word today because I thought, like, if I annoy you with saying bush the whole time, maybe there might be another word for the same thing in English. And I figured out it's shrub, and I never heard about it, so I feel very stupid saying it the whole time. But I hope it's a normal word to use and not something silly. Yeah, I need to get comfortable with using the word. So let's lit up our shrubs a little bit more with light from the left. And that I do with another clipping mask. And yeah, looking better already. And now we are adding a rim light on the light side, and that will boost the whole painting again to another level. So soft round brush, very bright greenish yellowish, more yellowish I would say color, and then going with a thin line here and there on the left side there where the shrubs are lit by light. Again, not everywhere, not everything is important, keep the balance. Single leaves, then yeah, what what is this called? This gap between leaves, the surface area of the bush. Yeah, cover that also with rim light sometimes. And here's some leaves again, just to, yeah, render it a little bit more nice. It's adding detail actually, right? So the moss on the ground a little bit. Cool. And now we rendered the right side, the shade side, with a pinkish rim light, and we rendered the left side with a yellowish rim light. And you can see that our shrubs are not looking that boring anymore. It comes more and more to life because we're adding detail. And the detail is not in, I draw a leaf every centimeter, I cover the whole thing in very detailed leaves. No, detail is sometimes also combining forms, merging forms, shapes together and adding detail on another level, like rim lights, like color or like texture. I want to try to add some spots or some holes here, maybe some dark holes, because I know that you can do it with rocks quite good to add a little bit more texture into them. I'm not sure how it looks with bushes, but should work as well. So I use the lasso tool for the selection again, then I add a dark green color in the selection, then I invert the selection, and on the border of the selection I add a little bit brighter green color. So in the end it looks like we have the dark hole in the middle, surrounded by brighter rim light. And it looks cool. Nice. Learned something again. Perfect. So what I also like to do is to not use just one color. You see, our shrubs here are covered in green. Okay, a little bit more yellow on the left side, a little bit more blue on the right side, but we can make that more intense. So I created the clipping mask in overlay mode and add some orange here now on the left side to support the idea that the areas are lit by light are more warm because of the sunlight, and the shade is more cold. So I add a little bit blue on the right side, but here I find it turned out a little bit too dark, so I could erase some of the areas, but I think I will just lower the opacity, and that works fine for me. Yeah, that works just fine. I'm not sure if it's just me, but it looks somehow like very strange ice cream. Like, yeah, I don't know which flavor, but maybe, I don't know. But the shape, you know, this is round shapes, and then the texture of it, if the leaves wouldn't be there, then it looks like ice cream. Yeah, a little bit, also the melted stuff on the ground, but that's fine. It's totally okay. I like ice cream. So I thought that the moss or I don't want to call it bush on the ground. What is the plant material, the organic material on the ground needs a little bit more texture. So I added some leaves here. Now I did a lasso tool selection again and added some darker green tones on the right side that it merges a little bit more into the whole painting. Better. That's what I meant. Cool. So, by the way, you see me merging my layers quite often. That is just something I like to do. Depending on what is the goal, right? If I do an animation, then of course I keep my layers for later, most of the time at least, but if I'm quite okay with the adjustments of the different elements, then I like to merge it together. That is not something you need to do. You don't need to follow each step I show you here. It's just more like like some suggestions, right? Normally I try to explain why I do things, but if you feel more comfortable with having hundreds of layers, go for it. The time will come, you will realize that might be bullshit. Or might not. I don't want to be the person who tells you how to organize your layers, because I'm not king of layer organization. So I have nothing to say here. Okay, to give the feeling that the brush is growing on a solid surface, on a ground, I added a plane via lasso tool selection, colored it in one green color, and now adding darker tones and brighter tones to it. Also raising the sharp edges a little bit, because sharpness means focus, and focus means focal point, and we don't want the ground to be the focal point. So yeah, let's smooth it out a little bit. Just like that. Okay, I still feel that that the leaves are too much heavy on the edges. So I want to try if I can counter this while by adding some leaves on top of the leaves. So it looks like the leaves are not growing just in one row. They're growing on different layers. I hope you understand what I want to say. So just creating a lasso tool selection here, adding a little bit of brighter green color, and I think that works. Yeah, nice. So we almost forgot about the branch, right? So they are quite dark already, but I chose a little bit more darkish blue violet to paint the shades here, and now going into the direction of a little bit more brighter blue, but I think it can be more bright to add a rim light here and there. It should not be too much, because the branch is really not the focal point here. It's just a thing that makes the shrub on the top seems like he's not flying, it's not levitating, but that's all. It is different than the other objects already by color, so it should not get too much attention here. But also it should not look too flat. Yes. Cool. Merge. And now give the whole thing some more spice by adding another overlay clipping mask, adding a bright orange here. Yeah, look at this. Always you think it couldn't get better, you can improve it somehow more. It's amazing. So yeah, that looks better already. So what I do now is I create another clipping mask. I add, it doesn't matter what color, I fill the layer with color. I add a noise, grain noise, lower the saturation on 0 to 0, and now give it a little bit of more contrast that looks more strong. Maybe like that. Now what I do is sizing the whole thing up so that it gets a little bit more, I don't want to say blurred, but unsharp, because blurring is something we will do now. Not too much, just that it doesn't look too sharp anymore. Perfect. Now what we do is putting the layer mask on soft light mode. And adjusting the contrast a little bit more. And now we are creating a mask for this clipping mask. Fill it with black because everything is black, is not visible at all. And now going with a soft round brush with white on this black colored mask. And now we can let some noise, some texture appear where we want. And I like to let it appear in the darkest parts, in the shade parts. Again, same thing, balance, right? The all over noise would be too much. It would look like I just put noise on top of it. It looks boring. But here and there, some noises to make the whole thing more crisp is something I really like to do. And maybe it's something you also like to do. Who knows? So, where the light hits the bushes, the shrubs, I would like to add a little glow. So this time we are not creating a clipping mask, we are creating with a soft round brush a very decent yellowish glow. Like the sunlight is hitting the bush and the light is reflecting from the leaves. And now we are adding some particles. Like the dust is also hit by light. So, new layer with my special dust glow brush. Creating a layer mask for these particles and doing the same thing actually like with the noise before. Now coloring with a round soft white brush into the black layer mask and let the glowing particles appear where we want to have them. Very decent. Yeah, little last adjusting and I think that's it. I'm quite happy with it. I didn't expect that it will turn out that well actually, because my studies, most of them were crap, honestly. But I'm very happy that I figured out how to render bushes and I hope you could take something away from it. I hope I helped you with your problems and yeah. Would like to see you in the next video, because the next video is the last chapter of the vegetation series. And after grass, after plants and after shrubs, what is left? Right, I will cover trees in the next video. So I hope you will be, you will be part of this. No, you won't be part of this actually, really. But I hope you will join, you will watch the video and hope you had fun with this one. See you soon. And I think I will show you the last part here, how I paint this little bird. It's actually just a little joke. But I felt like there need to be something interacting with a shrub. Yeah. See you later, guys. All the best.